Hi everybody, I'm Zilla Blitz and welcome to Upcoming Wargames November 2023 edition. Now this is a series that I've done rather sporadically over the past year and a half on the channel, and I've decided starting with this episode to make it a monthly feature. These episodes are going to have a bunch of different pieces to them, but in general there's always going to be three pieces. The first third of the video, we're going to talk about upcoming crowdfunding events for the next month, or current crowdfunding events that we may have missed the announcement for in the previous month. Secondly, we're going to talk about games that are on imminent release, things that are just kind of reached the end of their P500 system, for example, on GMT Games site and are ready to ship, or things that are ready to ship from Compass Games or some of the other websites and companies that use their own internal crowdfunding system, if you would, and then eventually release a game. Lastly, the third section of this video is going to be games that maybe just newly announced or just are new to me and caught my attention before they're ready to kind of go into production or crowdfunding. So it'll be a little bit of everything. This one's also because it is November and we're getting a lot of holiday sales. There's going to be a little section on some of the sales on 5 sites that have caught my attention over the past couple of weeks. Before we jump in and start to take a look at our crowdfunding games, I do want to talk about 2 other quick things. One, if you are a publisher or designer that is working on a historical game or a war game tabletop, I'm not going to probably cover miniatures in a lot of depth. That's not really what this nature of this channel is about. But if you've got a tabletop war game or a tabletop historical conflict simulation that you would like to have brought forward and seen and featured on this channel, please fill out the form down below. I can't guarantee that all games will make it, but I guarantee that I will look at everything that gets submitted. Secondly, this is also going to be a collaborative effort. There is a YouTube channel called ShelfClutter. It's run by Adam, who is a magnificent human being. He reached out about a month ago and suggested that we kind of work together to do a little bit of announcing of upcoming games. His channel is a weekly video that covers all sorts of regular tabletop board games and crowdfunding efforts. He does a ton of work preparing for that and gathering data on that. And then every week he comes out with a video that talks about upcoming crowdfunding games for that next week. He's a marvelous guy. I'm going to put a link to his channel down below. So if you like board games in addition to historical games or conflict simulations, you might want to go down and check out his channel. And he is getting very, very close to 10,000 subscribers. So if you do like his stuff and enjoy watching it, by all means, please subscribe to his channel and help him out. One additional thing to mention is Adam will be covering war games, but just probably going to a lighter touch. But he's a really good one to keep up with if you want to know the weekly changes in crowdfunding. With all that being said, let's jump in and start taking a look at our crowdfunding games for November 2023. Our first crowdfunding game to take a look at is U-Boot by Phalanx Games. Now, this game's Kickstarter campaign has just ended about a week ago, but it does look like, based on the information on the page, that a late pledge manager is going to open up at some point in December, at which point, if you miss this campaign, you can jump in at what will be a little bit of a higher price than was available during the initial Kickstarter campaign. If you're not familiar with this game, we can see here again one of these miniature sub options. It's a pretty big model, apparently, that comes with the game as one of the upgrade options on this Kickstarter. This is a 1 to 4 player game where you and your friends command a U-boat over a series of missions in World War II. Now, it comes with an app to help you record and track and do all kinds of things. It is a fairly complicated game. It takes a while to learn. It's what I would call a commitment game. And although the page does say it's a 1 to 4 player game, if you're playing at 1 player, my understanding is you have to do all the roles of the crew and kind of jump back and forth and do that. And it's the ideal way to play the game, from what I've heard, is with a crew of 4 who all know how to play the game, and you guys can work together and have a teamwork type of adventure. Kind of looking through all of this, we can see it is quite the game here. So a lot of things here. Now, I have heard people that absolutely adore this game, and I do think if you have a crew of 3 other people that you could kind of commit to learning this game with, it could perhaps be one of your most memorable game experiences. It is a game unique and unlike any other. Our second crowdfunding game is a game that's currently in crowdfunding, and it is just on the doorstep of ending its crowdfunding. As I'm making this, there's about 27 hours left. So if you're seeing this video on the first day it came out, there's still time to jump into the crowdfunding. Assault Sicily 43 is a tactical World War II combat game that has a dynamic campaign, tons of units, tons of scenarios that recreates the Gela beachhead in Sicily in 1943, US forces against German forces. Now, I've got a few videos on the channel about this game. I've been playing with an advanced prototype of the game, so I'll put links down to those down below, and you can go check those out if you're more interested in the game. I've been having a blast with the game. There is, I think, a learning curve with the combat that's involved, but once you get past that, it's a very unique tactical combat game that I think falls in that niche between overly complex and simple. So it's got that aiming for that balance point between playability and realism right in there. That's going to give you a sense of World War II combat and yet not be overly demanding as some tactical combat systems rules can be. So if you're looking for a game like that, you could check out some of the other videos on the channel and then perhaps jump over and back this one. Our third crowdfunding game to take a look at, and is another one that is also running and right near the end of its campaign as I'm creating this video, is the Battle of Khalkin Gol by Princeps Games. This covers the border skirmish between the USSR and Japan in July through August of 1939, right at the dawn of World War II, if you would. Now, this is their third war game. Their first is March to the Drina. The second, which we've covered on the channel, is Freezing Inferno, and we've covered that one as well. A lot of the stylistic decisions here with Battle of Khalkin Gol remind me of some of the decisions that they made with Freezing Inferno. It's a very innovative system. This is a company that likes to kind of build in history with the historical characters into their games. We can see here the maps and the counters, and there's a lot of different cards to represent and influence gameplay. I haven't had a chance to look at this one yet, but I will be looking at this one over the course of the next 3 months, and we'll bring you some videos onto the channel as well. So if you have liked Freezing Inferno or you're curious about this conflict, one of the things that I like about Princeps Games in their approach to wargaming is they're picking a lot of battles that haven't been covered. You know, we've got a lot of theaters and operations and battles there are multiple games to pick from in wargaming sphere right now. I don't know. I'm sure if I say this, someone will put a comment down below of other games that have covered this battle, but I don't know of a game that exclusively covers this battle. Princeps Games makes fun games, and they are an up-and-coming wargaming company. So if you want to go support this one, again, I believe there's going to be a late pledge manager option open. You can go over to Kickstarter. The link will be down below and check that one out. Our next crowdfunding game to take a look at is WarBonds, Battle for Vitoria. Now, this is a game that is currently going for crowdfunding right now. It just launched very recently on Kickstarter, and it started its campaign there now. This game, one of the comments that I think is probably most accurate in terms of what I've seen from looking at the materials on the game, it's kind of Final Fantasy Tactics tabletop version. There's a ton of units. Obviously, it's a fantasy-based war game, and it's important to know that I think there's two versions to this. There's an apprentice version where you get kind of a base game, and then there's a master version where you get a lot more units, a lot more complexity, a lot more things to do. But this definitely looks like a game where you're going to have it's a kind of a system purchase, a lot of options to play, a lot of different ways to play, a lot of complexity among all the various types of units that you can pick from. So if you like fantasy-based combat, this might be something that you want to go check out. Our next crowdfunding game, Europe in Turmoil II by Compass Games. Now, this is kind of a crowdfunding announcement and also kind of a last call at the same time. If you're not familiar with how Compass Games does their crowdfunding, they basically have a pre-order system on their website. And then when the game is, shipping is imminent, usually like a week or a few days, and they're getting ready to ship the game, I think either it's coming to the warehouse or they've got it in stock. They run a very brief crowdfunding campaign, usually on Kickstarter. This one, as I'm looking at it now, I think it was announced a couple days ago. It's got 6 days to go. This is kind of a last call to get the discount pre-order price before it goes up to full price once the kind of pre-order period is over. Europe in Turmoil 2 is a political card-based game that covers the span between World War I and World War II. It's the sequel to Europe in Turmoil, which is the same type of system, same type of gameplay, except it covers the era leading up to World War I. So this is a two-player game, card-driven. We can see the map here. It reminds me a lot. There's areas and sectors, kind of like Twilight Struggle, that you're kind of competing for politically, but through the use of card-based play to try to kind of outscore and outmaneuver your opponent and set your faction up for a better position starting World War II. Looks like a fascinating gameplay. I've not played Europe in Turmoil, so I can't speak to the gameplay. Very intriguing. And if you think this game might be something that would interest you, this is your chance to go get it at a discount price before it releases. Before I talk about this game, going forward, I hope to be announcing upcoming crowdfunding initiatives rather than covering ones that have already started. But for this first month, because there's a number that are currently going on, I'm spending some time on those. Most of them are going to be this format where we're going to be talking about a game that's coming up to crowdfunding in the upcoming month. This is the first one that we're looking at that does this, which is 1793 Patriots and Traitors from Sound of Drums. This is a European company. The game is going to crowdfunding in 17 days, making this on the 10th, so roughly November 27th, give or take a day. This is, of course, set in 1793, set in France. It is part of the French Revolution. It is a card-driven game where you play one of 5 factions trying to outwit your opponents. There are 2 maps from what I know in the game. One is a map of Paris where you're going to have a lot of action going on there. And then the other one is going to show the regions of France. Looks like a high production value. We have looked at History of the Ancient Seas on the channel, Dies Irae, Hellas, and Mare Nostrum. And with that game too, as well to mention, this game does say 1 to 5 players. And I know that there was a lot of attention devoted to the solo bot in History of the Ancient Seas. So I assume there will be a solo bot mode for this. Look for details if you're interested in that when the Kickstarter launches. But looks like very high production values. It also, if you're into goodies, and I think this is a great idea, is the whole book game combination. It says early backers will get a gift as a super nice book about the period the game is covering, 256 pages of interesting facts and stories, and will be available in both hardcover and leather bound. If you missed that as an early bird, you can add it as an add-on. I'm a big fan of book game combinations, so it's interesting to see a Kickstarter that takes that to the next level. So if you're interested in this time period and you're interested in this game and you like political card-driven games, this one looks like it might be a good one to keep an eye on. Coming to this is GameFound, coming to GameFound on November 27th of this month. This second portion of the video is what I'm going to call, kind of for tentatively calling, the last call portion of the video. This is where basically I'm going to talk about some of the companies like Compass Games and GMT Games in particular that have segments where they offer games at a discount through their own pre-order system. And then once the game starts shipping, the price goes way up. So it's really kind of, these are kind of last call, last chance to get the pre-order prices on these games before they start shipping from these companies. Won't be a comprehensive list. I'm sure there's going to be some I miss, and some of them I might just not include, but these are games that caught my attention in this system that I thought wargamers might be interested in. Our first last call game is Panzer North Africa from GMT Games. Now this, if money is a factor, the regular price is close to $140. The P500 price is just under $100. So this is a pretty significant discount over what is a massive addition to the series. Now, if you're familiar with the Panzer series, there's the core game and 4 different expansions. This is a standalone version of the game for North Africa. Includes tons of stuff, tons of components, and it basically takes the Panzer series to, of course, the North African desert. 30 scenarios included in the game. It's kind of a no-brainer if you're a fan of the Panzer system. I have this one on P500 order already. Very much looking forward to it. So if you are interested in getting that last call price before it goes up to its full price, now's the chance to do that. Next up is another last call game. This one also from GMT Games, Norman Conquests. This is the Men of Iron series, Volume 5. Now, if you've watched the channel from back when I first started doing wargaming, way back when I did a Battle of Agincourt playthrough, if you're interested in this series, that one would be a good one to go look at to get an idea whether you might like the gameplay. This is one of my favorite systems in wargaming, the Men of Iron Tri-Pack by GMT Games, which unfortunately, as I'm making this, is out of print right now, is one of the best values in wargaming. And with tons of scenarios, a very playable chit pull system for combat. I love the way they handle medieval combat. Just a fun system. And this game, Volume 5, covers the conflicts of the Normans and their successors, 1053 to 1265. So Battle of Hastings is in here. And the core games, the versions before this, have half-inch counters. There is a note on the GMT website that this one is upgrading the counters to 9/16 of an inch. So a little bit bigger counters. If you're not a fan of half-inch counters, this would give you access to this system with a little bit easier access and easier on the fingers. So This one too, I think it's on a boat on its way to GMT's warehouse as I'm creating this video. So if you want the discount price, this is the last chance to go get it. So our next last call game is Plum Island Horror from GMT Games. This one is another one that is on its way to their warehouse. So if you want the discount price, now's the time to act on it. I've got a story for this game. I looked at it about 6 months ago and I said, yeah, that's not a game for me. I'm not really interested in it. And I dismissed it out of hand. Then I looked at it again about 2 weeks ago, and now I have it on P500 order, and it's going to be coming with the next shipment of games. Let me explain what happened, but let me give you, first of all, a preface to what this game, a little bit of a kind of the base of what this game is. This is a 1 to 4 player cooperative game where you take over any one of 6 factions on Plum Island. This is an island off the coast of the Carolinas. The premise is a big hurricane hits, isolates the island. There's like a super secret laboratory facility that all the chemicals ooze out of, and they transfigure a lot of the people that are working into what are called horrors. And so you're going to be working, it's either 1 to 4 players picking one of these 6 factions, working together to try to beat back in the horrors and win the game. So you win as a group or you lose as a group. And each one of the factions has these unique facilities and stuff. So the premise is kind of cool. And then I looked at the designer. It's a Herman Luttman game. Now, if you're not familiar with Herman Luttman, he's designed A Most Fearful Sacrifice, which picked up at least one Wargame of the Year award last year. He's designed Dawn of the Zeds. He's designed the Blind Sword systems with Stonewall Sword. He's, I think, over 30 games he's got listed on Board Game Geek, a very prolific designer, and he makes games that are just a ton of fun. And if you look at the artwork on this one with GMT's production capacities, I think this is going to be a real winner. I went from, nah, it's not a game for me, to, oh my gosh, I really have to have this game in about 15 seconds. So if you want the discount price on this one, it's the last chance to get it. It's on GMT's site. It's still at P500 price as I make this, but transitioning shortly to full price. Let's shift over to Compass Games and take a look at some of their imminent releases or games that are being released right now. First up is Russia Besieged, the Finnish expansion. So you need the Russia Besieged Deluxe Edition, which came out, I believe, at some point last year. This is the Finnish expansion that gives you Finland to play with. It also includes a scenario for the Battle of Kursk. You do need the original game. And as I'm looking at this one, I know it was just recently released and it's still at a discounted price, but I think that discount price is part of the big sale they're having at Compass Games. More on that in a few minutes. But this is a new release. Russia Besieged looks like a really fun game. This expansion looks like it gives fans of that game a way to expand the gameplay and get the entire East Front all together, as well as that bonus scenario for the Battle of Kursk. So I'll put a link down below. You can go check it out if you're interested. That finishes up kind of the last call portion of the imminent release portion of the game, except for one last game that I want to mention, which is Operation Sealion, the deluxe edition from Decision Games, which is an upgraded and re-envisioned version of a magazine game from quite a while ago that they've taken over. Now, this game the pre-orders just closed. Between the time I noted down the game and the time I've made this video, it's gone. So that means it is ready for imminent release. It doesn't look like an opportunity to get the pre-order price, but it should be available for sale on their website shortly. I've got a first look video again that I'll put a link down below to that you can check that out if you think you might be interested in this one. It, of course, covers the hypothetical invasion of England during World War II by the Axis forces. One of the interesting features about this game that I'm intrigued with is that it covers air, naval, and ground operations. So you've got to coordinate all those 3 elements as the Germans attacking England, of course, defend against all three of those elements. And it does assume that Britain has lost the Battle of Britain, but has some air power left to contend against the Luftwaffe as the Germans are attacking. This one recently came in. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but it looks absolutely fascinating. If you like hypothetical war games, you might want to go check that one out. Now, this is November, so we're going to do a special feature on this version of upcoming war games, which is the sales that are going on. I know of 4 big ones. There's probably some more that I missed. These are the ones I'm not aware of, though. We're going to talk about Compass Games, GMT Games Sale, Multi-Man Publishing Sale that's going on right now. Act fast because it ends really quickly. And then Revolution Games November Sale. Let's start out with a look at Revolution Games Sale. They are a California company. They have a ton of games. Almost everything is on sale at pretty substantial discounts, including a lot of their American Civil War stuff. If you are an American Civil War wargamer fan, they have the Blind Sword system. They have a lot of great options here at very affordable prices. Some of the games, too, you'll note, like Thunder at Dawn, which is one of their Blind Sword systems game. I think there are 10 games in the system now. Have a boxed version here that I'm looking at on the right, which is $55, and then a Ziploc edition, which is only $40. So if you don't care about a box, you can save even more money Stonewall Sword, we mentioned Herman Luttman, the Plum Island horror game. This is the first game in the Blind Sword series designed by him. $30. What a deal. So, I mean, there's some really good deals here. If you haven't been aware of this site and you don't know this company, there's a lot of gaming available at a very affordable price. Eagles in the Sky is a brand new World War I flying game that has a campaign system in it. Looks like a lot of fun. Stalingrad, unfortunately, is one I want to get, but it's sold out right now. So out of stock, unfortunately, on that one. But if we go to World War II, there's actually two that I probably, they're all worth mentioning, but two that I want to highlight. Deadly Woods by Ted Racer is Battle of the Bulge game. $40, marked down from $60. That's the Ziploc version. And the one that you want to know about, Celis. Everybody keeps saying how great this game is. I finally got it. It's $20 for a Ziploc edition. If you don't have that game and you're looking to treat yourself to an early holiday present, that might be one you want to go take a look at. So Revolution Games having a huge sale. Lots of good stuff there. Our second company that's having their big fall sale is Multi-Man Publishing. They don't have a ton of stuff on sale, but they have some really good deals. I'm going to walk through the website and just point out a few things that you might be interested in. The first up is A Victory Awaits by Tetsuya Nakamura. Now, you might be saying, I've heard that name before. We recently did a playthrough, an after-action report playthrough by Traces of War from VUCA Simulations, which is a Tetsuya Nakamura design. This game uses the relatively same system. It's a larger scale covering the first 2 years, I believe, the first offensive, not 2 years, but the first major thrust of the German offensive into the Soviet Union during World War II. So if you like Traces of War or interested in that system, there's a substantial discount on that game here. Second one, Angola, as recently at the San Diego Historical Games Conference. And once again, everybody says this game is such an amazing multiplayer game. No, you don't want to play it solitaire. It's not, whereas Victory Awaits is actually, I think, a very good solitaire experience. Angola, you need a group of people to play it. It's a long game, but every time I've talked to people to play it, they say it's absolutely fantastic. So that's a really good deal. And it's $83 on sale for $35. It's hard to build. But I think the third game, actually in order with all of these A's on their site here, that might be one of the best deals on the whole sale is Aracourt, the Battalion Combat Series, which is incredibly highly regarded. And Aracourt is one of the highest, if not the highest regarded game in the series. It's the one that people recommended to me if they say, you want to check out the system. $86, it's on sale for $44. That's a really good deal. And if you haven't checked out that system, that would be a great place to dig in. Let's take a look at a couple of other games. A lot of advanced squad leader stuff on sale, like their packs and extra things like that. A couple of things I want to point out. Standard Combat Series, Autumn for Barbarossa. This is one that I got $44 on sale for $25. The Standard Combat Series is a really accessible, easy to learn, easy to play system, and the rules are pretty much standardized across the whole series. I think there's more than 20 games in it now. So if you haven't checked out that series, this would be one of, I think, 2 games I would recommend on the site to do that. I did order this one. That one looks really, really interesting. And again, we're looking at a lot more kind of advanced squad leader stuff here. This one here, Hollow Legions, is advanced squad leader, the Italian order of battle. Normally $172 on sale for $120. That's a pretty good deal. Great Campaigns of the American Civil War, Hood Strikes North. $70 instead of $100. This is a highly regarded Civil War series. North Africa is the second standard combat series that I saw on their site. This one, normally $88 on sale for $50. If you're looking to get into the series, I might recommend Autumn for Barbarossa just because it's half price of this one. Although if you like the North Africa campaign, this one looks like a really good deal as well. Panzer's Last Stand, another very good Battalion Combat Series game. Usually $166. This is a much bigger one on sale for $100. Tactical Combat Series, Siege, Race for Bastogne, $176 on sale for $105. That's a good deal. Another great Campaigns of the American Civil War. $42 if you want to get a taste of that one to take Washington. Sword and Fire Manila on the left here, which is the campaign game for Advanced Squad Leader. Normally $132, $80. That's a good deal if you're into Advanced Squad Leader and like those campaigns. And then some more kind of Advanced Squad Leader stuff. But last but not least, the entire American Order of Battle for Advanced Squad Leader, $148 on sale for $85. This is a dangerous sale, but act fast. It ends November 13th. Let's go to Compass Games, and I just love the way that Compass Games sends word of their sale. If you're not on their mailing list, you get this massive piece of paper. It's like the favorite piece of mail I get all year. This thing is huge, and it's loaded with all their games because pretty much everything is on sale. Some of them are pretty good aggressive discounts. Others are kind of moderate discounts, but just lots of stuff to look through. And I love looking through this. It stays by my bed for some nighttime reading over the course of the holidays. This sale runs for quite a while, so there's not necessarily a sense of urgency on this one, unless, of course, something sells out. But I did want to jump in and just kind of point out a couple of games that you might want to check out that are things that either caught my eye or I really like. So some of these games have kind of a heftier price tag, but they're on pretty good discounts. Enemy Action Ardennes, which is John Butterfield's game of the Battle of the Bulge, which has a completely functional solo AI bot system. You can play as either the Americans against the AI, the Germans against the AI, and it's all AI, and it's also a fully functional two-player game. Extraordinarily highly regarded game. This one, pretty good discount in terms of coming down off of what is a normally relatively high price. I mean, there's literally there's three games in the box, and developing that rule set and the AI bot, I'm sure, is a lot of work. So, it's not saying that it's overpriced by any means, but, at that price, you get a pretty good discount off of its regular price. Let's take a look now. This one, Combat, I've got 3 pulled up here. Combat 1 and Volume 2, both on pretty substantial discounts. If you're not familiar with this one's on my shelf of opportunity. I'm really excited to get to play it. I just haven't had time to do it yet. But Combat Volume 1, each counter is an individual man, so it's individual man-to-man combat in World War II. It's a solitaire-based game. And Volume 2, I think they work particularly well together, is Volume 2 adds a really cool campaign element to Volume 1. And if you look right over my head, Arnhem Volume 3 is on pre-order. All of these had pretty substantial discounts. Arnhem adds, I think, the British order of battle to the system. So tons of... I was a huge fan of Sniper, right? I played that game until I wore out the map and the counters. That's how much I played that game. And I think that this game reminds me of that one as well. It's got the exclamation mark at the end of the title and everything like that. So I'm really looking forward to digging into this one as we get into next year. But all 3 games on sale at pretty good discount. Let's go into some other options here. Not necessarily World War II. NATO's Designer Signature Edition, highly regarded game. It's on a really good price, down from $85 to $55. If we go to Third World War, Designer Signature Edition, this is a massive game. I think it's 4 games in one, 3 games in one, all packed into one big box. I mean, they're 4 wargaming classics by Frank Chadwick, faithfully remastered and updated, all packed into one big box at a very good discount. So that one might be one you'd look at. One last one that I want to point out, which is by Gregory Smith. I know we've done The Hunters and Silent Victory on the channel. Another solitaire type experience, except in World War I, air combat, and his design here. Normally over $100 at $85. That's a pretty good price. Western Front Ace. So just a few. There's so many more. They're all on sale. So, and they have the PDF of their sale thing is up on their website. And I think the sale runs at least into December. So there's time there, but you never know really when things are going to sell out too. So some options there for that one. And last but not least with the sales, let's jump in and talk about GMT Games Sale, which is their P500 sale. Now, if you're not familiar with how this works, a very brief overview is that if you've ordered one of a game on their P500 system over its roughly the previous 12 months, you qualify to buy one game for 50% off on their website. If you've ordered 5 games on the P500 system, you can order 5 games at 50% off. So it's a way to reward their loyal customers who use the P500 system over the previous 12 months. What's really nice about this year's sale is that I think you just need to have an account. You don't have to have bought one game on their P500 system to get one game at 50% off. So if you've never used their P500 system before, but just have an account with their website, then you get to order one game. If you have ordered, you get one additional game for each game you've ordered on the P500 system. So if you're a big customer, you have a lot of options. If you've never used it before, you get at least one. I'm going to run through just real quick some of the ones that I picked out, but I could have done 3 times as many games. Almoravid is Nevsky, the first Levian campaign series game, is out of stock. If you're interested in trying out this series, Almoravid is there. It's in stock. That's a good choice for digging into the Levian campaign series. Let's go to our next one. Conquest and Consequence. Caveat, I've never played this one. I've been to 2 conferences now. So many people have talked really highly. I've sat down and watched people play it. Looks great. You need 3 players. It doesn't work out really well solitaire, but it's a great game if you've got 3 players. It kind of gets long, but at a half price for what it is right now, that's a pretty good deal, I think. And it'd be a great game if you've got a couple of friends that want to play it with you. Empire of the Sun is simply a classic. If you don't have it and you like World War II Pacific Theater, you owe yourself to get it. Mark Herman's classic would be a very good choice. Likewise, if you're interested in trying out Coin, Volko Runke and Mark Herman's Fire in the Lake, the coin game about Vietnam, is one of the most highly regarded games in the rather large Coin series. I'll come back and talk about that more, but that's a great deal as well. Mark Simonich is a designer that publishes a lot of XX, 43, 41, 42, World War II hex and counter games. He's famous for his Zone of Control Bonds. It's a really playable system. Salerno at half price of what I'm seeing up there is just an insane price to get in and see if you would like that system and try it. And then there's other games you could get later if you like this one. Into the Woods, if you like Civil War, the Battle of Shiloh, that's going to be a great price. This system here is highly regarded system, and this is a great game to dig in. It's relatively complex, but if you're interested in trying out a Civil War game from GMT Games, that might be one to dig into. Skies Above Britain, if you like solitaire games, this is a fantastic experience where you command a squadron of Hurricanes or Spitfires over a campaign game, trying to protect Britain in World War II. This at half price is just a steal. It's a great game with a programmed learning sequence, makes learning the game really, really easy. Another solid choice. If you like coin games but haven't played one yet and you're a little bit concerned about the complexity, I've heard really good things about The British Way as being a good introduction to the coin system. That one is available in stock as well. Lastly, if you haven't got Twilight Struggle, this is such a classic game by Jason Matthews, of course, one of the, if not the biggest selling war game ever. So if you're new to wargaming and want to try out this classic, it's also very good in the digital version on Playdeck. That might be another way to try it out. And if you've already got that one, but are looking for more Twilight Struggle, the newly released Twilight Struggle Red Sea, which is an easier version of Twilight Struggle, more accessible version and a shorter game, might be something to check out if you're thinking you might like Twilight Struggle but don't want to dig into the whole game yet. Lastly, U.S. Civil War, also by Mark Simonich, a great campaign game for the entire Civil War at half price. That's a steal as well. So much goodness. I could make 3 of these with the stuff that's there. So tons of stuff. Starts November 13th at 5 a.m. Pacific, and it ends November 19th at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. So don't dally if there's something that you want. We've covered a lot of ground today. I do want to finish up with games that caught my attention over the past couple months or so. And I want to just 3 briefly here. First, let's go back to Revolution Games and take a look at their website, Manila, the Savage Streets. If you're familiar with this game, Stalingrad, the solitaire game that they put out a few months ago about the Battle of Stalingrad, fantastic game. It's out of stock right now, but Manila is coming up. Same series, same type of game, except covering the battle for Manila, of course, in World War II. Now, Hissycat Studios has a print-and-play prototype of this. He's going to be putting some of this up on his channel. Stalingrad was such a big hit for a solitaire game. A lot of people really, really liked it. This looks to continue that excellence in a completely different scenario, completely different battle. So if you're a solitaire gamer, this one looks like a no-brainer. Speaking of solitaire games, I did mention this one earlier, but I want to come back to it. Combat Volume 3, which takes the combat single individual soldier solitaire system to the Battle of Arnhem. This one looks really cool. This is a standalone game, so you don't need the other games that come in the series. It's got linked scenarios through the Battle of Arnhem that you can play through that way. And of course, starts getting British forces in there. And I'm sure, there's this kind of a sandbox mode. You could make your own scenarios out with this as well, too. So I'm very excited to play this one next year. And this looks like a very interesting addition to the series. Last but not least, in terms of monster games, this one caught my attention on GMT's site. The recently announced Battle for Sicily. It's on their P500 system right now. It made the cut right away, so it's got over 900 orders, so it should go into production and move through their system pretty efficiently. Big game, 4 34 by 22 maps. There's a 2-player version. There's also a 3-player version where 1 player controls the British forces, 1 player controls the US forces, and 1 player controls the Axis forces here. 5 counter sheets, a 40-page rulebook, 36-page scenario book. I mean, this is just looks like a brilliant, big game to cover the Battle of Sicily. So if that looks like that might be something, you might want to give that a check. We've come a long way in our time together. For the next month's editions probably won't be as long as this, because this is the first one, so there was a lot to cover. Just as a reminder, if you want to check out ShelfClutter's channel, who does the crowdfunding updates weekly basis for upcoming board games with a light touch on Wargames, I'll put a link to his channel down below. If you have a game that you think should be featured in these episodes, there's a form down below, a Google form. Please fill it out and drop some games in there. Again, I can't guarantee I'm going to put them all up on this episode, but I will definitely look at everything that gets submitted. Other than that, happy shopping, everybody. Is there anything that you're getting? Which of these games did you see? Did you like? Anything we didn't include that I should have included? Have a happy holiday season. I'll see you back in about 3 weeks for the December edition of this series. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day.